Alright, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another crazy story. So today's story is about how I became Andrew Tate in my high school. It all starts off back when I was in grade 10. Now in grade 10, I remember I was a pretty basic kid. To be honest, in grade 10, even though I was doing a lot of the Devil's Tango, I ended up becoming one of those people in my school that was well known for it. And me being well known for pulling a lot of girls is at the same time having a good reputation and at the same time having a bad one. Because usually there'll be those group of girls that would be like, oh my G, like Bubba's like one of those guys who can pull like literally anyone, like he's so good in bed. And then there's those other girls that are like, OMG, like he literally treats women like objects. Like who does he think he is? And even though I was usually talked about in that way, I'm gonna be brutally honest, you guys, I never really actually full on cared. Because you gotta understand, in high school and even in life in general, people will say many things and people will always say something to put you down. But luckily for me, I have that trait where I don't actually give an absolute. Like seriously, if someone has something bad to say, they can say it, but at the same time, who is really gonna care? And that's what I did. Every time someone told me something bad about me, I would just ignore it. And at the same time, when someone said something good about me, I'll take the compliment and move on. But then comes the most crazy part. I remember a girl walked up to me in my high school one time, and when she walked up to me, she said, hey Bubba, I was just curious. I really want to like get advice from you about something. And when she asked me for advice, I'm not gonna lie, I don't like giving advice at all, because I'm gonna be straight up with you guys. Getting advice from someone usually means that you need help getting pointed out the obvious. Like for example, I need advice on getting up in the morning. Then just get up in the damn morning if you know you want it. I don't know, people like to overthink things and overcomplicate things. But anyways, going on with the story, I remember she asked me for advice, and she asked me for advice on how to get a guy. And I'm not gonna lie, I remember I looked at her straight in the eyes and I told her the goddamn truth. You really don't need advice on getting a guy. You gotta understand that you are legit a woman. You can literally pull and ask guys whenever you want to do the Devil's Tango. As for guys, we actually have to try. So the fact that you need to ask me, a guy, on how to get a girl is ultimately the most disgusting thing I've ever heard. And I ended up walking away. I remember as I walked away, some other girls ended up hearing what I said when she asked me for advice, and they were really pissed off. I remember one of them walked up to me saying, but what? I can't believe you actually just said that to her. Are you serious? Like, who do you think you are? Some kind of god? What do you mean? Is what I said to her. And then she said, listen, I get it. You pull a bunch of girls and stuff, and like you think you're all cool with your cool sports car, but you gotta understand, like, you can't just treat women like that. Treat women like that is what I said. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what? I was so confused. And then I remember another girl ended up coming into the conversation, and she said, hey, why are you guys telling Bubba like that? He's actually such a nice guy. Like, he helped me fix my tire when my car was broken. In reality, I'm not gonna lie, she literally parked her car in front of my place and undid her tire. But going on with the story, and like, he's such a nice dude. Why would you do that? And then I remember the girl and the other girl just started arguing with each other about if I'm a good guy or not. And I remember it got to the point where some of my friends that were like the homies, the boys, let's just say, came up behind me saying, yo, what's going on here? Why are these girls being weirdos? And then that's when things got weird. I remember I ended up just kind of looking at everyone and just saying, everyone calm down. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Okay. I'm just gonna go, leave me alone, quit being weird. And I ended up leaving. I remember when I got to my next class, I ended up sitting down beside a girl that heard the conversation. And I'm not gonna lie, she kept trying to talk to me about, you know, what happened in the hallway. And she got to the point where she told me, hey Bubba, I was wondering, I'm going to this like women's rights march after school, and honestly I think you can learn a lot from it. Do you want to go? I looked at her and I'm like, what do you mean? What's so different about men and women? Like, what do we not have in common? And then she said, oh, trust me, there's a lot we don't have in common. Do you really want to go to this march? Okay, I guess. So I ended up taking my car and I ended up driving her downtown after school that day, and we ended up going to this women's freedom march. When I went there, I remember I ended up seeing a bunch of women screaming out a bunch of crazy things. A lot of them were saying how girls were better than men and all this stuff that honestly, it just seemed really misogynistic. But at the same time, I didn't really care because I was there to just, you know, overhear them, and giving them a listen was honestly kind of interesting. I remember I started walking up to random women there and just started talking to them, being a nice guy, because, you know, them seeing a nice guy, I guess, is very rare. And I remember I went up to this girl and I said, so like, what are you fighting for? She looked at me and she's like, oh, I'm fighting for women's rights. We should be able to get paid the same as men. I looked at her and I'm like, yeah, you guys should get a job. I agree. I like that. Yes, women should work. I remember I was chanting with her a little bit, and then I got bored and I moved on to the next person. And basically I started talking to her and she's like, OMG, like guys get to like literally do the Devil's Tango with literally whoever they want. Girls should too. We are the same. I remember I looked at her and I'm like, hell yeah, you know what? You get to do whatever you want. Go do the Devil's Tango with whoever you want. "Hi, my name's Bubba," and I shook her hand. She found it cute and laughed, and I ended up getting her Snapchat. And then going on after that, I remember I went on to another chick and I started talking to this other girl. Except this girl, she seemed literally crazy. I walked up to her and I'm like, "Hey, like, so what are you fighting for?" She looks at me and she's like, "Free the nipple! Yeah, let's free the nipple, Bubba! Let's do it together!" Huh? Is what I said. Honestly, I can't complain. Girls, like, you know, yeah, you guys should free the nipple. Honestly, I chanted with her. I said, "Yes, let's go." You know, being a happy guy I was. And I remember after all that commotion and me talking to some people and going around, I remember I went back to the person that originally invited me to this freedom march. I said, "Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, girl. I don't know why you're saying men and women are so different. I agree with half of the stuff they're saying." I remember this girl looks at me and she's like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah. Honestly, you changed me today. Men and women should be the same." Even though I already believed that, but I just wanted her to go home. So I ended up taking her to my car and we ended up going back home. And the next day at school, I remember word got around that I went to a freedom march. Everyone was talking about it. You know, they're basically saying how it's crazy how I actually went to one. And then one girl in the hallway ended up running up to me saying, "Bubba, did you actually go to that women's march? Like, what did you learn? Like, did you learn not to be misogynistic?" And then I remember I looked at her and I told her straight up the goddamn truth. I was never misogynistic in the first place. I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. I know in my mind, men and women will never biologically be the same, but mentally, if you want to do what you want to do, go for it. Because literally, for me, I just want to do what I want to do. And if I love doing the devil's tango with a ton of women, then you can do the same and do the devil's tango with a bunch of men. I really don't care, but just don't put over my head if I want to. She looks at me and she's like, "OMG, like, you're still treating women like objects though. We don't want that." I looked at her and I said, "Listen, if a girl looks at me and she's attracted to me and my body, we will do the devil's tango. And there's nothing you're gonna stop it. It's not like I'm forcing anyone to do anything. If she wants it, she gets it." She looks at me and she's like, "Yeah, but like, you're not supposed to do that. Like, you're supposed to like show us love and care." And I remember I told her something that Andrew Tate said a lot of when I was watching his interviews, and it reminded me of this day so much that it literally made me Andrew Tate. And funny enough, I did take kickboxing literally 2 weeks afterwards. But basically, I remember I told her, "Listen, I'm not gonna lie, I get it. I do the devil's tango with a lot of girls. But no matter what you say, these girls will always message me. These girls will always want me. And at the end of the day, I'm not gonna lie. If they want to be hoes and be in my pocket, let them. At the end of the day, I'm the top G." I remember this girl looks at me and she's like, "What in the world is a top G? Like, what?" I looked at her and said, "A top G is when you are the alpha male, not alpha female." And I walked away. It was honestly one of the most craziest moments of my life. And I remember I said that to her. And recently I was watching through Andrew Tate's like videos of him like talking about like, you know, misogynistics and stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, as a person who's been with a lot of girls as well as Andrew Tate, I can easily say he's kind of right about some things. It's not in terms of misogyny or anything. It's just, I guess in a way, he reminded me of a lot about myself in high school. Anyways, guys, that is basically it for today's story. Make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like I always say, follow for more embarrassing stories. Peace out, guys.